What's up, guys? Pretty stoked. I actually have a real office chair, and that's pretty cool. So, the other day, Sheehan, I don't know if I'm saying your last name right, bud, but you wanted to know how to get on active duty as a reservist, and you just signed a 6-year reserve contract over at MEPS. So, congratulations, you're going to be going on some active duty anyways. You're going to be going on IADT, or Initial Active Duty for Training. I don't know what your MOS is, but you're looking at spending 6+ months. You got 3 months of recruit training, you get 10 days of leave, and then you'll go knock out either your 3 months long of ITB now, or it used to just be called SOI, or MCT. What you want to do after that is you want to go to a service academy, I'm presuming the Naval Academy, and then try and get the Marine option towards graduation. I honestly didn't even know the Academy, the Naval Academy. I didn't even know it existed until I was at TBS when about 60% of my class had graduated from there, going to TBS in the summer. I went through the hard way, recruit training and then OCS, and still have some tiny student loans sitting out there because all I had was the reserve GI Bill, which you'll find out is 40% of the average state school tuition and does not include a housing allowance or a stipend for books, like the post 9/11. So, if that doesn't work out for you, you want to go back on active duty, is what I'm presuming, and staying on the enlisted side. So, if you want to stay on the enlisted side and you're on that 6-year contract anyways, by the time you actually hit your reserve unit, it's going to be about 5 years, give or take, left, and you're going to start sort of looking around for how to get on active duty. So, the easiest way is also the shortest way to spend time on active duty. So you can volunteer for ADOS, or Active Duty Operational Support. So this will typically be at your local reserve unit supporting the I&I staff. You'll either be doing your regular job or you'll be going off to support funeral honor details or helping out in some sort of maintenance custodial kind of way, because the I&I staff is really a skeleton crew, and depending on what you're capable of, you might be able to help them out with, like, doing some preventative maintenance on trucks, changing oil, or even going and helping clean some weapons in the armory because they're all just sitting collecting dust when the reservists aren't there, or anything that helps take the burden off their back, because you're looking at 6 to 8 dudes trying to maintain a place that's going to end up supporting hundreds of people's training. But that being said, ADOS is short term. You're only going to be able to do it for a couple weeks, maybe a month at a time. Next thing you can do is you can volunteer for an IMA, or be an individual mobilized augmentee. So for that, you're typically going to be going on some kind of deployment somewhere, trying to go to either UDP to like Japan, maybe Korea, or if you're really adventurous, there's still some going on places like Iraq, Afghanistan. Now, what they're going to be looking for that is specific MOSs and ranks. So, coming straight from the schoolhouse, being like a little PFC Lance Corporal, there might not be a lot of openings available for you, but you'll have to see what's around at the time. And when you do this, you're going to be able to go for 6 months, give or take a couple. So, they'll typically be looking for the augmentee towards the pre-workup stage of a deployment, which means you might be able to hop on some of the workup training into what's going into the deployment, or you might literally be hopping on a plane to meet some dudes on the way somewhere, meet them when you get there, hey, you work with them now. But that being said, they typically are looking for like NCOs, so you'd be looking at that 2-3 years in to being in the reserves. So you'd probably go through your training on active duty initially, come back to the reserves, spend a year or two kicking around, waiting to pick up corporal, and then going off and volunteering to do that, maybe go on a cool deployment. I mean, I never went on any kind of deployment, and I hit 10 years back in October. So this time, 10 years ago, I was at SOI training as a little 0311 infantry rifleman. So good times. You're bringing me back down memory lane. But before I get too far off topic, you can also fill an active reserve billet or an AR billet as a reservist. So this means you're going to take typically a year or longer of active duty orders. Could also be a little shorter, but say ballpark a year, and you're going to go fill some type of much needed billet. This is typically going to be Again, NCOs, staff NCOs, you're looking at E4 and above, maybe even E6 and above, depending on the job, and you're going to go do something that the Marine Corps desperately needs you for, and they reserved the spot for someone coming from the reserves to active duty for a long period of time because they didn't want to permanently station someone there, but they do need you for a long period of time. So when you're looking at that, this also includes any kind of SDA or special duty assignment. So a lot of the prior service recruiters you'll see out there are actually stationed out of reserve units, and they are on a AR billet, where they're a reservist on a year plus active duty orders to go out and recruit Marines who have EAS'd from the inactive ready reserve usually to come into either the reserves or active duty to bump the numbers back up with experienced people. Now, that being said, you can find all this info and some more on manpower.usmc.mil, and once you have your CAC, or your controlled access card, your ID, you'll be able to slap that in the government computer, log on there, or if you have a CAC reader at home, slap it in your personal computer. You'll actually be able to look at the specific IMA billets as well as some of the active reserve billets. Now, as a very junior Marine, don't reach out directly to your monitor. Go talk to your staff NCOs, get with your first sergeant, tell him that you want to go on active duty, and he will help you find a way. It'll probably be one of the 3 ways that I just talked about, but if there's something else out there, let me know, because I spent about 6 years in the reserves, and it was a fun time. Felt like I learned a lot, but never know. There's always new stuff out there. So, welcome to the delayed entry program where you're at right now. You signed up for this, and you signed a reserve contract, so it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy road. I came in on a 6-year reserve contract. By the end of it, I decided I wanted to go active duty, and I signed a 4-year active duty contract going to OCS upon accepting my commission. So here I am, 4 years later actually, almost to the day of accepting my commission, and I'm coming up on that EAS soon. But yeah, you're going to spend a lot of that 6 years in the reserves, no matter what you do to try and fight it. You can do pretty much anything you want. If you get into a service academy, which again, I had no idea existed until I'd already been in the Marine Corps for a few years, that'll likely be your best bet on not being stuck on your reserve contract. But you're likely going to spend at least 2 out of those 6 years, even if you try and just volunteer for active duty the whole time, doing reservist things, which it's not that bad. So, just wanted to let you know, have fun out there. Don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have anything else. And yeah, Semper Fi, buddy.